And we're back here on Sporting the Truth with Warehouse Sports Bar and Grill owner Greg Pryor. And we're here to talk a little bit about the Peyton Manning story. It's what everybody's talking about here in Indianapolis. Obviously, you know, the house that Peyton built in Lucas Oil Stadium. And, you know, there's been rumors recently about Peyton Manning actually retiring and not being able to come back to football. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you've experienced that might provide some insight to our viewers about
back in '86, I had an identical surgery, actually twice, just as he did, and I had a double-level fusion, just as Peyton Manning's had. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, and back then I was quite a bit younger and healthier, that that's a big shock to come back from. I mean, it took me a couple years before I actually felt like my head was fully reattached again. The shocks and vibrations of normal life and the lifestyle I led were pretty difficult at times. I can't imagine what a 320-pound linebacker is going to feel like jumping on top of him and having to get up and throw a ball and have some kind of a control over that ball after doing so. Listen, it's a $28 million question we'd all like to answer, and it's the 900-pound gorilla. What's the guy going to do? We don't know. We all know what we'd like. We hope he comes back. But I hope Peyton also listens to his doctors and doesn't do anything that's going to put his jeopardy of his health and future at stake, because the guy's a fantastic individual. I'm sure he'd make a fine coach or assistant coach or any position he wants, but I really have my doubts he can come back from this surgery.
Yeah, talk about the rehabilitation process from that surgery, kind of what Peyton is experiencing now and what you experienced.
Well, I spent actively about 9 months of strengthening the area where the surgery was done in your neck, and that involved a lot of physical therapy and range of motion therapy, heat therapy, stretching therapy, strengthening therapy, and then, of course, you start using your hands and arms again, because they've got to get back in touch, because they've weakened after that type of a surgery. It's a neurological effect on your arms and your hands, so I'm sure he's had some issues in that, and doing what he does, throwing a football, has got to be extremely difficult and strenuous on his muscles that have been laid up for a while now. So there's a long rehab period, and then there's, of course, the healing process. So I think he's going to be struggling. I really do. Even if he goes back in the game, I think he's going to struggle.
What do you think the Colts franchise should do?
Well, honestly, I think they should do what's best for Peyton as far as what Peyton can contribute to the Colts. But as Jim Irsay said, this isn't fantasy football, and if they need to draft a quarterback, and so I'd love to see what I'd love to see. I'd love to see the same situation we had with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I'd love to see Luck come in and sit behind him for a year or two, learn everything there is to learn, rotate in and out of the offensive line occasionally, and become another Aaron Rodgers in 2 years. That would ideally, that's what I'd like to see.
And how do you feel about, you know, like it's almost like the story here in Super Bowl week isn't about the game, it's about Peyton Manning. Do you think that's about just the fact that this is Indianapolis, or the fact that Peyton Manning has just been such a monumental figure in the NFL for the last, you know, decade or so?
I think a lot has to do with the media, to be honest with you. I mean, Peyton's a hot topic right now. You can get a lot of footage out of it. I think really, in all due respect, it's part of the game. We're in Indianapolis. It's Peyton's house. But it's time to knuckle down and give respect to the two teams that are here to play football and give us a fantastic Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, that was the owner of Warehouse Bar and Grill, right with us, True Colts fan, True Colts perspective, and we'll be right back. After the break, we're going to be discussing, well, I forgot.
Our X Factors for the Super Bowl. Me and Gary are going to talk about some X Factors for the game. Some things other than exactly what the media's been talking about so far. So we thank to our owner here, Greg Pryor, and we'll be right back.